Hi, I'm Arizona Muse. I'm a model, an activist, and a sustainability consultant. I live and breathe environmentalism. But I haven't always been this way. It's a journey. And I began about 5 years ago. I'd been a model for 5 years already, and I realized that I didn't know anything about the clothes that I was working in. So I went on this discovery mission to find out everything that I could about materials. And it turns out that I'm completely obsessed by them now. And I would call myself a materials nerd. I love them so much. I want to know everything about where they came from. Where is the glass from on this tabletop? Which cow made that leather? Where did this plant come? How did it arrive here in London where I live? And that value chain that's alongside every single material in the world. I find that fascinating. For me, that was the beginning of my sustainability journey. For you, it might be something else, but because of climate change, we all need to get into our own sustainability journey, and we need to do it now. I live under a daily sense of urgency, and that is real to me. My chest feels it. I feel it in my mind, in my body. I pass that on to my children, and this sounds big and scary, but actually it's what empowers us. This is what makes us act every single day as a family to protect our earth. We must know where our food comes from. We must know where our fashion comes from in order to ensure that it's coming from a healthy value chain rather than an unhealthy one. Through my sustainability journey of materials, I realized that fashion is like this with agriculture. It's actually a farming industry that I work in. Everything is grown, everything. This is a linen and silk suit. The linen was grown in soil, and the silkworms grew on trees that were in soil. This is what it comes down to for everything in fashion, even metals, because metals are mined. I am campaigning for healthy regenerative agriculture so that we are growing all of our fashion materials in a regenerative setting that's actually helping the planet to be healthier than it was when the farmers started growing things. My favorite type of farming is called biodynamic farming. It's amazing. I love to go and volunteer on farms. I do this with my children, pregnant sometimes. We have the best time. I've gotten to know farmers and they are incredible people. It's like another level of being human, their intelligence, their observance of the land around them, the space around them, the relationships around them that they have between themselves and other humans, but also between themselves and plants, and themselves and planets, and themselves and animals. It's a whole new space that I didn't grow up understanding, but now that I'm getting to know farming, wow, I'll never go back. My knowledge protects me. I can walk into a shop and I no longer want that sparkly dress. I know that it's covered in plastic, and I know where that plastic came from, and I know what it's doing to our environment, and I don't desire to wear that dress or spend my money buying it. It's easy when you know. Sustainability is misunderstood as if it's full of denial. I don't deny myself anything. Not at all. In fact, I'm happier than ever now that I live with a little bit less than I used to. It doesn't feel like denial to say that I don't want the sparkly dress, because I feel like I'm living with better things than that sparkly dress. It's not a downgrade to become more sustainable. My life is richer than ever as I make it more sustainable. There's a misunderstanding about sustainability that it's going to be scratchy and less than you want it to be, less than that conventional alternative that you do desire. And I'd like to say that's just not true. The sustainable things out there are better. They're better quality. Yes, you do need to try a few out to find the best sustainable shampoo for you. For instance, my shampoo now is a company called Groom. It's a bar of shampoo, because a bar doesn't have to come in a plastic bottle. Liquids do have to come in a plastic bottle, so I don't any longer use a liquid shampoo. I use a bar of soap, it's really frothy, I go like this, I go like that a few times. Okay, it's not as easy as like donk and lathering a liquid shampoo, but it's also not that much harder. So this is the question that we have to ask ourselves all the time, is what is worth it, and when can I make a decision about me taking a little extra, just a little extra time or a little extra precision. And I quite like a little extra precision in my life. It doesn't make me feel like it's a nuisance or an inconvenience, not at all. Tips for how to bring sustainability into the classroom. I have two children, a son who is 11, his name is Nico, and a daughter whose name is Sai, and she's nearly 2. So they have very different abilities when it comes to understanding sustainability. My son, he's been my main confidant since he was 6, which is when I began my sustainability journey. I come home so excited to tell him everything that I've learned today. And I have realized he is so capable of absorbing this information, even when he was 6 and 7. Now he's 11, but he understood it then. Children are so logical, so go deep with them. Give them all the information, all the facts. Don't hide it. The truth is not as scary as not understanding the truth. Children have a tendency when they begin to understand things about climate or environmentalism, that when children begin to understand things about sustainability, climate change, environmentalism, they get very logical and they get very angry and upset. Like, how can this be that politicians have been polluting rivers my whole lifetime, might say a 10-year-old. And they're right to have that anger. Give that anger a place. It's okay to feel annoyed about that, or angry, or hurt, or scared about that. So give them space to feel all of that, and make sure that they can feel empowered by knowing that every little choice they make in life makes a difference. No one is too small to make a difference. We are not just one drop in the sea. You can think of that over your lifetime, and it suddenly becomes far more powerful and easier to understand. Let's go back to the plastic bottles and the soap example that I used earlier. I have 3 bathrooms in my house. That means 3 bottles of soap. We used to go through plastic bottles of soap quite often. Like, I would replace them every 3 to 4 weeks. Let's call that 1 a month. 3 bathrooms times 12 months a year. That is so many plastic bottles over the years. And I switched to bar soap in all my bathrooms. No more plastic bottles. Then you go, oh, when I make a policy like that in my life, in my house, I am making an enormous decision. I am contributing to a huge amount of waste or eliminating a huge amount of waste. This is an amazing thing for children. They just love it. You'll get those kids to go back to their homes and restyle their parents' houses, if you will, in a sustainable way. And if they're using social media is a really great way to get inspiration. Type sustainability into Instagram and you'll find all these amazing, cute little accounts that are coming up with these tips on how to make your life more sustainable, where to buy sustainable products, why the conventional alternatives are bad. And it's not just about my body, I realized. So when it comes to body care, I thought, no, I don't want to put toxic things on my body, of course. But I hadn't followed through with the rest of the idea behind that until more recently. And that idea is that it's not only my body I'm protecting. Yes, I was fine using toxic chemicals on my skin. I didn't have a reaction, I was okay. But think about the factory where those toxic chemicals were produced and their wastewater that's going into the river next door. That has a huge impact on the earth. Also, at the other end of the scale, after you've used those chemicals on your body, you take a shower. And they run off of you into the wastewater of a municipality, that city where you live. And then they get into the water system. And in the water system should live anyway, so many microorganisms happily floating away in the water. When you put toxic chemicals in, they can't live anymore and they die. And that water becomes dead and lifeless. And then this water can no longer support the bigger ecosystem, which is called planet Earth. Please don't use toxic chemicals on your body. Children will love that little exploration, and it will last a lifetime. I think that the key to teaching about these issues, climate change, climate justice, the big issues of our time and era right now, is to do it with true meaning and enthusiasm. Get involved in it yourself so that that enthusiasm and that encouragement becomes contagious, so that your students can see how much this moves you. It's okay to get emotional. It's okay to feel in uproar about the injustices that have happened in the past to people and to planet. Let's make this the most interesting topic at school. That's what it needs to be. And it will only be the most interesting topic at school if teachers are the most interested in it. Personally, a big step in my own development as an activist was to start going to marches. Extinction Rebellion really changed the way I viewed myself, my own perception on my activism. Until then, I had not called myself an activist. But then I was in the street with Extinction Rebellion, walking with like-minded people, feeling so moved that we were all there for planet Earth. And I thought, yeah, I'm an activist. This is what activists do. Whereas until then, I'd been in my living room on my own, reading books, watching documentaries, very solo, very separated. And separation is one of the key problems of why climate change even exists. If we didn't have such a separationist society, we might be all living in more community, and then we might all treat the earth as a member of our community rather than a piece of resources. My final thoughts here, I'm really passionate about. I believe that teachers should be in a role that we respect, that we admire. Teachers should be on a pedestal above all other roles. And imagine if when you sat down with someone and you went, oh my God, you're a teacher. Oh, that is so cool. Wow. Congratulations for getting that job. I mean, if our society treated teachers like that and also compensated them like that, imagine what a different society we would have. I like to imagine that often. Having 2 children, it would make a huge difference if I knew that every single school were equal, if I didn't have to do any research into like which school should my child go to. And I'm someone who's, I get it, super privileged that I even have a choice about where my children go to school and that I can pay for private education. The fact that I've done so is a difficult one. It's a bit of an icky, like, ugh, I'm supporting the system that I'm actually not really, I'm not an advocate for that system, and yet I'm in it and supporting it by paying tuition to private schools rather than putting my children into the state system. One day, I would love it if all schools were equal and all schools were churning out activists so that we could all save the world together. So I'd like to invite everyone to get on the sustainability lifestyle. It is so much better. I love it. It's like a game now I play with myself. How can I be more sustainable in my bathroom or in my living room or with my kids? Right now we're looking for a lunchbox for my son that's the most sustainable version. Haven't found it yet, so if you have any advice, please let me know.